One of the things that you probably don't know about me is that when I finished college, I had 2 majors and 2 minors, and none of them had anything to do with one another. So I really didn't know what to do next. And pretty much that's been the driving force forward, is not really knowing what I'm doing and just sort of going with it. I ended up with a master's degree in theology, which for those of you who've been here a while know that I'm a preacher's kid who wasn't really traditional. And nonetheless, I ended up studying theology at Drew University up in northern New Jersey. I went there in 1993, and it was one of the most difficult periods in my life. Nothing I was doing was working. It was a very bad job market at that point, and we were all just going back to grad school to get out of the job market. I see some heads, yes. So I show up at this university, and I never even visited there when I moved there. I don't genuinely recommend that you do that because it's a little risky, right? You might not like it. I didn't like it, but I was sort of stubborn. So my papa told me that he wouldn't speak to me for the rest of my life if I went up and embarrassed our people by having a woman study religion. That was pretty much the reason I went. So I get there and I'm very, very, very out of sorts. I'm like Ellie Mae in the big city. I'm talking to everybody at the grocery store. Everybody hates me. I'm talking. My accent is so strong. So I didn't like it at all. And one of my future professors, at the point that I met him, he was not yet one of my professors. He was just nice to me all the time. Every time I would see him, he was just kind. And he would look me right in the eye every time. Eventually I had him in class, and I found out at that point that he is an internationally recognized scholar. I'm sure you've heard of Karl Marx, but Marx had a buddy, Engels, the dynamic duo, right? And Dr. Maduro was a specialist in Engels, okay? So philosophy, big heavy stuff. So Dr. Maduro was always nice to me. That's all I really knew about him. And my very first Christmas in graduate school, it'd been like a bitter blizzard season up in New Jersey, snow like this high to the ground. And I didn't have a car. I walked, y'all are loving this, 4 miles to an Irish bakery at 4 a.m. That was my job. I didn't have a car. So I had to take the Greyhound home from New York City to Nashville. I don't recommend this in the future. So I didn't know how difficult it would be. I'd taken the Greyhound many times before, so I thought no problem, right? So I get my stuff, I load up, I get on the bus to go from New Jersey into the city, and it's packed. And I noticed that I'm like, look at the clock, and I'm like, maybe I cut this a little bit too close. I'm not sure if everything's going to work out. Then we hit traffic. We're stuck. I start really panicking. Then I noticed that Dr. Maduro is sitting like 2 seats up from me, okay? So I like angle to get his attention just to have someone nice to talk to. We end up talking for the next hour, okay? What should have taken 22 minutes took about an hour. I had to go to the Port Authority, New York City. If you've been there, it's not like a building for us simpletons. It's a complex, okay? I didn't know this at the time. I just thought it was going to be like a building that you walk into, like here in Nashville, and you look at the board and you know where to go. Not so simple. So we get there, and he says to me, "Do you know where you're going?" And I say, "Of course not. Of course I don't know where I'm going. And I think that it's going to leave in like 10 minutes. Like, I am so screwed. I have to get home. This is the last bus." He says, he's Venezuelan, by the way. "Don't worry. I will take care of it." So he like literally takes all my bags. He's this big guy, big burly guy, big burly gray beard guy, right? And he runs through the Port Authority. I'm like tagged, have his jacket, running behind him. And he literally is moving, excuse. So we're just like this through the crowd. We get there, the bus is leaving. So Dr. Maduro goes and stands in front of the bus, stops the bus, goes on, talks to the driver, comes back up, hands the driver my luggage, picks me physically up off the ground, puts me on the stair of the Greyhound, kisses me on the head and says, Feliz Navidad. Sends me home. Okay? At this point, I literally remember thinking, oh my God, all men don't suck. Like, this is huge for me. I could have gone another 20 years hating men. And in comes this magnificent human being who I later came to know as the intellectual that most people knew him to be. But for me, he became this sort of like soft spot. I would go to his office when I was terribly homesick. He would talk about Venezuela, music. I would play Hank Williams for him. We had a real simpatico, right? We were exchanging cultures, drinking whiskey, sitting in the office, not talking about philosophy at all, ever. Okay? So last year, I see a random tweet saying that Dr. Maduro had passed. And it hit me, literally, still hit me again today when I was thinking about it. What a radiant person he was. It was not that he was just so intelligent, which he was. Piercing intellect would nail you to the wall with a smile and a big hearty laugh. But he treated everyone he met exactly the same. I see this quote that goes around, on social media that says, if you're really good, I think I'm paraphrasing Maya Angelou, so please don't kill me. That basically, it's not about what you tell people, it's about how you make people feel. Y'all seen that? He taught me that, right? I don't remember anything about his lectures. I didn't take notes. I made A's, and I worked hard for those A's. But I don't remember any of that. I do remember his kindness to janitors. I remember how he sought me out, knowing that I stuck out like a sore thumb. And he opened his heart to me without a hesitation. And he treated everyone like that. Later on in my life, I became a teacher. And always in my mind, I have a student here, always in my mind was, I don't know that they will remember anything I am testing them on. Ever. And that's fine, right? Maybe they remember something else about interacting, that I knew their name, that I knew their kids' names, that I knew if they were absent what was happening, right? That stuff matters way more than anything else. It's also called emotional intelligence, and Dr. Otto Maduro really taught me that. So that's my love story. Thank you.